Sometimes cycle crashes can be really crazy and unexpected. What may have started out as a fun bike ride can turn into a chaotic scene with broken bikes and injured riders. Today, we will cover some of the craziest cycle crashes that you'll ever see. First up, we have this fatal crash where Vingegaard, Evenepoel and Roglic horribly crashed into an open drainage ditch. Now, you can't blame any of the riders for this accident, as it was purely a case of bad timing and luck. The riders were going down the road with proper plan and momentum as if nothing could go wrong, but as they approached the open drainage ditch, they just couldn't stop in time and ended up crashing into it. On the side of the road, there were rocks and trees around the ditch, which made it even more dangerous. One of the riders was hurt so badly that he was put on a stretcher with the oxygen mask on. Stage 5 of the 2022 Tour de France Femme provided yet another heart-stopping moment for cycling fans. It all began suddenly with a big crash that took down a total of 34 riders. The peloton, rolling along in what seemed like a calm moment, was suddenly disrupted. They collided and fell on the track. Luckily, most of the riders seemed to be okay physically, but we've seen such peloton accidents where riders ride in groups. They usually become too relaxed and feel a false sense of security. When concentration slips even for a moment, the results can be harsh like this. This massive accident repeated the bad luck of Van Aert, who's been having a very bad year. The crash happened at Dwars door Vlaanderen, where Mads Pedersen, Biniam Girmay, Van Aert and several other cyclists went down hard. You can see Van Aert in the yellow shirt with a huge tear on his upper back. It looks like he's barely breathing because of the pain. Just look at the scar on his back, it's really painful to watch. Next up, you can see Mads Pedersen taking his helmet off and Biniam Girmay lying on the deck. Now you might be wondering how this actually happened. If you look closely at the front group, you'll see they're riding at 50 to 60 km per hour and suddenly they just start falling like dominoes. Now this crash might feel like it happened because of the water and grass on the side of the road. However, it wasn't something that the riders weren't aware of. Everyone stayed on the right track except for Tim Wellens, riding in the red. He wanted to take off and catch the lead, but soon he went into the damaged part of the road. Luckily, he didn't fall and decided to come inside to join the main group. This was a foolish move because there was no way you could perform that kind of move at that point. But Tim performed it, and upon trying to join the main group, he collided with others and made them fall. A huge group, including Van Aert, Ben Turner and other big names, went down because of this small mistake. What's surprising here is that Tim Wellens, who caused this accident, kept going. However, it was clearly his mistake, and that's why he was disqualified from the race. But could this disqualification compensate for the pain and suffering of others? We don't think so. Stage 9 of the 2017 Giro d'Italia turned into an unforgettable day for many riders. The race had been going smoothly, but suddenly a rider crashed into a police motorbike moving on the left-hand side of the road. This collision sent shockwaves through the peloton. The rider who had collided with it tumbled hard to the ground, and he wasn't alone. He took down his entire team. The impact was so bad that they didn't continue the race. This clip is from stage 1 of the Tour de France in 2014. The race was about to finish and the crowd was cheering hard. But suddenly there was a huge bad luck for a rider named Mark Cavendish. Just when he was about to cross the finish line, he unexpectedly crashed and took another rider with him. The other rider did stand up, but Mark was lying in the middle of the track. This may be because he was injured too much or because he lost his position just when he was about to finish the race. This huge crash at stage 14 of the Tour de France 2023 will definitely be remembered for years. A tightly knit group of cyclists was roaring down the road like a pack of wolves. Then, all of a sudden, a massive crash ripples through the peloton, sending riders flying left and right. Among those injured was Vingegaard, who got back on his feet despite being held up. The scene was so deadly that the directors shouted, "Stop the race, we have to stop the race." Finally, the race was stopped, but the cause of the crash was never determined. Even if you play the footage 10 times, there's no way you can tell why the peloton fell. Please let us know in the comments if you can figure it out. Stage 3 of the 2015 Tour de France was supposed to be a regular day of intense racing, but it turned into a day everyone would remember for all the wrong reasons. With riders riding at high speeds, the peloton rode with the usual high-energy tempo. But soon, a high-speed crash erupted, creating a pile-up that took about 20 riders. During the chaos, two well-known names, Tom Dumoulin and Simon Gerrans, found themselves forced to abandon the race. The crash was so extreme that the race officials made the unusual decision to neutralize the event for 20 minutes. Here is another 8-year-old crash from Stage 8 of La Vuelta 2015. Everyone was racing hard on a clean track with trees on both sides. The race was intense and the peloton was speeding down the road. In the blink of an eye, what seemed like a smooth track turned into a scene of carnage. Riders were tumbling over each other as their bikes got entangled. The clean track was now a mess of wheels, frames and bodies. The sudden crash left most cyclists on the ground. Despite the big crash, the race didn't stop. They showed their spirit and toughness as some got their tires replaced and kept going in the race. The day started like a normal one for all the riders, but what was meant to be an exciting race turned into a nightmare for these riders. Imagine a huge peloton of around 100 cyclists, each one a master of their craft. The road beneath their wheels was slick with rain and coated in wet dirt. This was a downhill stretch where speeds easily exceeded 50 km per hour. The riders pushed their limits and were looking like a single unit. The tension increased as they approached a sharp curve. The riders knew the risks, yet they also trusted in their skills, their bikes and each other. But in the world of cycling, even the best laid plans can flop in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, something went wrong. Maybe it was just a split-second mistake, a twitch of a wheel, or the slippery surface of the road. No one could say for sure. What we know is that disaster struck fast and hard, catching everyone off guard. The tight group of cyclists turned into a scene of chaos, except for a few in the back. Stage 5 of the Critérium du Dauphiné was a day when the peloton was playing a gamble by riding during the rain. The entire surface was slippery and it claimed its victims. It started on the left-hand side of the road. A rider lost traction and went down hard. The crash set off a domino effect, with more than 30 riders tumbling left and right. "They're all over the place," shouted the commentators. And indeed, they were. The scene was pure chaos. Riders everywhere scattered across the road like fallen soldiers in a battle. The left-hand side of the road was particularly brutal. At the point of the crash, it felt more like an ice rink. Every rider going through that section wasn't able to stand on two wheels. As soon as they touched the brakes, they went down. As you can see, it wasn't a sharp corner that caused this chaos, it was just the loss of traction. One rider went down, and the rest followed him. The 2021 Tour de France saw two crashes in a single race. The first one is this unlucky crash in which a spectator sign takes down Tony Martin and many other cyclists. Maybe the person holding that sign was busy trying to get a picture with the riders, but it ended up causing a massive crash. What might have been a smooth ride turned into absolute chaos. The first of two back crashes forced Yeshua Sutton to abandon the Tour de France. Some riders desperately tried to recover their balance while others tumbled to the ground. All this happened because of just a small spectator sign that a guy was holding up at the side of the road. But this wasn't the only crash of the day. As the peloton raced towards the final few kilometers, the riders faced another crash. This time, there were a lot more riders involved. Among those caught in the disaster was Chris Froome. For him, this Tour de France was a battle not just against his competitors, but against his own limits. He had fought through immense agony to return to this level, to compete on cycling's biggest stage once more. And now, he found himself on the ground. So there you have it, our craziest cycle crashes of all time. Leave a like if you enjoy the video and make sure to subscribe for more exciting content like this. And if interested, click on the video appearing on your screen right now.